I've been a Final Fantasy fan for well over 20 years. Final Fantasy VIII was my first back in like 2002 or something to that effect. But over the past, I'd say, decade or so, my trust in the entire brand of Square Enix has been a little bit shaky. And as I slowly watch them pump out things that people didn't want, or they don't last, or there's something about it that just doesn't feel very authentically Final Fantasy, there's something about the things that they're pushing out that just feels very false and doing it for the sake of it. So I really didn't think Square Enix could surprise me. And then I saw the trailer for the new Dissidia Duelim, and well, I was surprised, but it wasn't a good kind of surprise. This is Dissidia, a series that used to celebrate Final Fantasy, its worlds, its summons, its heroes, its villains, and of course their signature weapons, so what Final Fantasy game would be complete without it. And now with the release of their new Dissidia, Duelim, it is now the anime-styled mobile dress-up game set in modern-day Tokyo. That's right, the Warrior of Light in Tokyo. Guess what that means? You can play dress-up, where you can customize your favorite Final Fantasy character in some totally gift-looking modern fashion. Street chic for lightning, am I right? And I'm no outright hater. I'm always trying to see what it is they were going for when creating something new. And visually it does look pretty cool. I guess the concept is kind of cool in Tokyo, I guess. But at the same time, I'm thinking, Square Enix, what's going on over there? Because what I'm going on about is not simply about Dissidia Duelim. This is a symptom, I believe, of something much deeper. A company that's completely lost that sense of direction and doesn't seem to know what the fans love anymore. A lot of ideas, clearly, but nobody to hone those ideas. Back on the PSP, Dissidia was something special. It was fantasy meeting philosophy, gods of order and chaos, summoning heroes from across various Final Fantasy standalone universes to fight in this ethereal world. A brand new world that was neutral for all characters from all across their respective worlds to meet and duke it out. It was something entirely out of left field, and for someone like me who could never afford a PSP in my youth in the 2000s, I got to the game relatively late, and all I could do was watch bad quality gameplay on early YouTube and try and understand what it is I was looking at and how this strange battle style functioned. But then the beautiful world of emulation was revealed to me. I was eventually finally able to play Dissidia on my then potato computer, and I was in love. Square Enix was able to take this 1v1 arcade-style battle system that had existed for a while at that point and put their own kind of spin on it. A ballsy move, but that gave us the bravery system. To simplify it, in Dissidia you had two types of attacks. Bravery attacks, which attacked the number above your health bar. The lower that number was, the more damage you would do to the health bar below, with the help of HP attacks, which would deplete your health, and would deplete more health depending on how much bravery points you didn't have due to bravery attacks. But more than that, the game was energetic and fun, and something I'd never seen before. Playing as your favorite Final Fantasy protagonist or antagonist from Final Fantasy 1 through 10, which means you could have Sephiroth from Final Fantasy 7 versus Zidane from Final Fantasy 9, which was just the coolest thing to me. It further cemented itself as a unique experience, as you could dash across the map at high speeds like only fantasy characters could do. You could run up walls and grind along edges. It was fast-paced, high-energy fighting, a new twist on the classic fighting game, a good old fresh take on a 1v1. The direct sequel to that one, Dissidia 012 Duodecim, are all these titles Latin and odd? Yes. It took the original concept and made a few tweaks. It included some new characters to expand the roster from Final Fantasy X all the way up to 13, so the likes of Lightning and Vaughn are available, etc. While also ditching the initial idea of one bad guy and one main character from each entry, they included secondary characters. From Final Fantasy VIII you have Squall and Laguna now, or from Final Fantasy VII you have Cloud and Tifa, or from Final Fantasy IV you have Cecil and Kane Highwind, etc. Still the same high energy 1v1 unique experience Square Enix game. It would be another 7 long years before Square Enix pumped out another highly anticipated Dissidia game. And so then we got Dissidia NT. People were super excited, but then we soon realized they stripped everything from the game that we loved. They replaced the tight 1v1 combat with messy 3v3 chaos, forced live service systems, obviously, and forgot the entire point. People loved playing as their favorite character and mastering their favorite character's abilities, not grinding for gear. Dissidia NT is still up on Steam to play right now, but you'd be lucky to find a single player. There is a free mode, just play that. The game did have that signature Final Fantasy look. Every character was super angelic. There was that Final Fantasy look and uniformity across the board. So graphically, it was beautiful, but it was a far cry from the games that came before, the games that people loved. And now with Dissidia Duelim, they've gone full circle into self-parody. It's not just them missing the point. At this point, it's like they don't even remember what the point was. Instead of mythic fantasy battles in some other worldly location, a neutral ground world as I said before, where characters can meet up and fight, rather we're getting our own modern world, Tokyo to be specific, and mobile gacha mechanics. That's not evolution, Johnny, that's creative collapse. And besides, because it's a mobile game, Square Enix is quite notorious for shutting down all of their mobile games. Record Keeper, Brave Exvius, Opera Omnia, Mobius. So on that note, let's see the shelf life of this game. Besides, the trailer alone on YouTube is, well, heavily disliked by many. Just go see that the like to dislike ratio is heavily leaning dislike. It's crazy. This isn't just about Dissidia though, it's a pattern that's been repeating across everything Square Enix has been touching lately. Take Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. I haven't hidden how I feel about this game. I really feel like it does the entirety of Final Fantasy VII a massive disservice. Two games in concept that should have been a slam dunk. Reimagining of one of the most beloved stories ever told in gaming, but instead of deepening it, they turned it into another alternate universe nonsense spiel that everyone's doing now, and it's lazy. Alternate timelines, destiny, ghosts, meta-narrative layers, all the lazy tools used by writers terrified of committing to a story. The original Final Fantasy VII hit because of the world they built, the aesthetic, but also the weight of the game. Everything felt like it mattered, like whatever you did mattered across the world as a whole. It painted a memorable picture of a world. The aesthetic is unforgettable, the soundtrack, the look, everything just felt so gritty and perfect. I'm saying this while I prefer Final Fantasy VIII over 7 anyways, and yet 7 was the most groundbreaking of the lot. It's like Coral Prison. It wasn't some quirky desert town. It was broken. It was hopeless. It was depressing. And you felt it in the way they portrayed it in the world. Now, by them reimagining it into this new scape, they could have easily done that, but they made it into very kind of like not nearly as depressing, because I suppose they want to keep players' attention for longer. Now stylized and light-hearted, turned into something that's meant to keep your attention constantly, so it always has to be very visually appealing and not too depressing, not too down, not too serious, like a theme park attraction. Like the gold saucer throughout. When every death or tragedy or moment can be undone in some sort of alternate timeline, nothing then matters anymore. And then there was the chasing of trends. Case in point, The First Soldier. Their attempt to hop onto the Battle Royale train. It crashed and burned. It was a cool concept that simply didn't last long because, well, it was to chase a trend, not an earnest attempt at expanding the Final Fantasy VII world, which has already been done to death. It's like Square Enix is tossing darts at every trending genre on the board and seeing what sticks. Right now, that clearly is the very generic default anime look for all of mobile games and other. I mean, they tried MMOs, they tried Battle Royales, they're going into gacha now, they tried NFTs, then they had the live service games too. They don't seem to have a vision anymore, just reacting to what's currently popular. And that brings me to Final Fantasy XVI. Now look, it's not an outright bad game. It's polished, cinematic, and ambitious. Also a cool main character that everyone likes, but it's not Final Fantasy. What made Final Fantasy was its blend of strategy, wonder, and emotions, and also unforgettable characters and their really cool looking weapons. But what tied that all together like a neat little bow in each new installation that always tried something new while maintaining its signature elements, the turn-based system. Various depictions of said turn-based system, be it simply turn-based, ATB, CTB, or Final Fantasy XV's active cross-battle system. Whether you like one or hate another, it was still an attempt to have different takes on a turn-based system, the glue that tied all the games together, if you will. Final Fantasy XVI abandons all that for a Devil May Cry hack-and-slash style game. Beautiful, sure. But where's Final Fantasy in that? Just chuck Shiva in there, chuck Ifrit in there, and call it a day. Where's the magic of exploring a strange new world with your companions and getting into a strategic battle of some variety? It's been traded for QTEs, cinematic cuts, and a lot of exposition. It's like Square Enix has become obsessed with surface-level spectacle rather than substance, and maintaining that legacy that they've built. Square Enix is a ship full of brilliant artists, clearly, but no captain. You can tell they are creative minds at work, people with a vision and love for the series. Tetsuya Nomura is still around, and often is the creative lifeblood of the series. So much of that guy's visual style and input is in the Final Fantasy series. But, as a creative myself, we need reeling in. Creative minds run amok is chaos. The best ideas can look awful when muddy or when badly implemented. There's no one steering. There's no single guiding philosophy, it seems like. The company that once built worlds like Ivalice or Spira or Gaia or Grand Pulse is now seemingly afraid of commitment, afraid to let something be itself, give something the fans want while trying something new, not just doing whatever you want and hoping everyone falls in line. They have all these bold ideas, that's great and all, but without structure, without leadership, they become chaos. It's like watching creative potential slowly corrode under indecision. They try to take Final Fantasy specifically so many different ways, often to not much success. So much so that it doesn't seem like they recall where it was most comfortable or where it was going. Square Enix used to make games that changed people's lives. Games that taught us to dream, to feel, to think, to get attached to a world and a character and their good-looking weapons. But for the past while, it seemed like they were making games that were designed by a committee. Polished, marketable, and soulless. And we've become so complacent that we simply accept it. And that's what hurts the most. Because deep down, we all want them to succeed. We want to believe that the same magic that we got in Final Fantasy 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is still in there somewhere. But if Dissidia Dualism is any indication, that magic isn't just fading, it's being replaced by noise. And an all too familiar, all too widespread anime-ified look. They've given Dissidia the Genshin Impact treatment. All of these games are starting to visually homogenize. Until somebody comes along to remind Square Enix what made them who they were, creativity and legacy first, trend chasing a very, very far away second, and keeping their own world visually and creatively alive and their own. Until then, they'll keep making these games that are pretending to be Final Fantasy. Anyway, that's my take, Jormies. If you're a Final Fantasy fan and have seen the Dissidia Dualism trailer, let me know what you think. Do you think Square Enix have lost their way, or is this just the new age of Final Fantasy that we have to accept? Because honestly, I'm not sure they even know. Okay, I'm done. Later, Jormies. Cheerio, squires. Goodbye.